Good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? It is Monday, February the 2nd, and it's Make a Card Monday. This is Debbie Scott, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Brigden, Ontario. And today I'm working with the Delicate Whispers bundle. So you may not have seen this before. It is a new set that is going to be available at the beginning of March. And I thought I would play with it today because I think it's such a pretty set. There is some paper that goes with this as well. Let me just grab it. I forgot to grab it. So this suite is called Delicate Dreams. And this is the paper that coordinates with it. I'm not using the paper today, but I'm going to show it to you because it has a little sneak peek in it. This blue color is called Hydrangea Hue. So it's giving us a sneak peek to the new in colors that will be coming out in April. So this paper pack has Crumb Cake, Gray Granite. So this is Crumb Cake, Gray Granite, Hydrangea Hue, which is this new blue color, Mossy Meadow, which isn't on this sheet, but we know Mossy Meadow, Secret Sea, which is that darker color, and then this has some bronze in it as well. So that's super fun that we get a little sneak peek to one of the new ink colors. And I really like it. It kind of reminds me of Boho Blue, but I haven't compared it, so I don't know exactly how similar it is, but that's what it reminds me of just at first glance. So this paper pack, if you're a demonstrator, you can get as a pre-order right now. And if you're a customer, it will become available on March. It's never the first of the month. I think it's maybe like, I can't remember. It's the beginning of March. I love this one. This has all the colors in the paper pack in it. So pretty. I've seen a demonstrator use this one and her page was gorgeous. That one's nice too. And then there's one that's all in that beautiful new Hydrangea Hue color. And that must be Secret Sea. I'm not 100% sure, but it's got to be, I think. And I love this paper pack, just so beautiful. And the colors are just me. I love blue. Blue and Crumb Cake together, I love. Alrighty. So as I've said, I'm not using that today. Today I'm using Pretty Peacock, Petal Pink, and Strawberry Slush. So not probably colors that I would put together, but these are the colors for the Global Design Project Challenge this week. It's a color challenge, which is always fun because it helps you to work with colors that you wouldn't always work with. All right, so let's get started. So I pulled in just a thick white card base. This is just standard size, 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.25. Yeah, I think that maybe is a little bit big. Let me just double check it here. It is a little big. I forgot to. Is that right? 5.5. No, this is how big I want it. I'm sorry. Yeah, the front is 4.25 by 5.5. I'm sorry. I'm having a bit of a brain fart this morning. So then I have cut a piece down, which is 4 by 5.25. That's where my 5.25 is. And I have embossed that with also a new product. It's called Paradise Garden Hybrid Embossing Folder, and it is also part of the March online exclusive, so that will be available to customers in March and available to demonstrators to pre-order right now. So I have put that through. It is a hybrid embossing folder, so that means that it has some dies that will partially cut out some of these leaves, but I didn't use that today. I left it just as is, and I am just going to pop that up. So we also have a special coming. Let me grab my paper on it so I don't get the days wrong on that one. February 3rd, so it starts tomorrow. February 3rd through March 2nd. If you sign up as a demonstrator with Stampin' Up!, which you don't necessarily have to be an active demonstrator, you don't have to do videos and classes, but if you sign up and get the kit, the demonstrator kit, on top of all your regular things, you will get our Stampin' Positioner for free as well. This isn't available to customers yet. I'm gonna guess that it will be in our new annual catalog, but they have not told us that. That is just my guess. And I do have it, and it works fantastic. I need to do a little video on it because it is a great tool. So then I pulled in our Arches, Everyday Arches dies, and these are current, and those are the two that I have flipped over there. Those are the two sizes that I've used, so kind of like right in the middle is what I did. And I cut one out of Petal Pink paper, and that paper I forgot to check and see. I'm pretty sure it's in the annual catalog, so it should be available. Kintsugi Inspirations. That's kind of that Japanese inspired paper pack. And that's Petal Pink. And then the Pretty Peacock piece is from our Nature's Walk. This one is available right now. It is fairly new, so if you haven't seen it yet, that could be why, but it is available. And so I just cut a piece out of that Pretty Peacock. So I think I will, before I do that, I was gonna say I'm gonna pop it up, but before I do that, I need to stamp my greeting on here because of this texture on the back. So I am using Hello Friend out of the Delicate Whispers, and I'm going to stamp that in Pretty Peacock. And I'm going to stamp it in the middle, of my arch here, and up about 1.5 inches. I'm just checking. I haven't used this stamp before, so I just want to check that it's stamping as it should, and it is. So I'm going to go up 1.5 inches. So if it's 3, so there's 1 inch, 1.5 inches. So since I'm stamping right onto some DSP, the Petal Pink DSP with that little flower image back there, I chose a nice dark color to stamp my greeting so that it will show up nicely. Okay, now I'm going to adhere this down. And I did say I was going to pop it up, but I think I'm going to lay it flat because I have this piece, and that would be hard to pop up. What I could have done is just stamped out a whole one in this size and just layered over top, but I didn't. So we'll do it this way. So it's going to go in the middle, and then I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere that. I just want a little bit around. There we go, that should be lots. And we're just going to frame that around the petal pink piece. I'll just take a little second to adhere. There we go. And then I'm going to do some watercoloring. So I'm going to watercolor these flower images, and that's from here. And then I also did one of these. I'm going to add some color to that as well. So when I watercolor, this is what I do. I just kind of squeeze my stamp pad together, and that creates a little pool of ink on the lid of my stamp pad. Another way you could do that is to just take your block and dab it on your ink pad, and then you get a little bit of ink on your block, and you can watercolor off of there as well. I find it just as easy to do this. All right, so I have my water. That looked like it was dirty. My water brush. And this is just an old one. It's a Stampin' Up! One, but I've had it for a long time. So if you ordered one, it would be a little bit different. So we don't want too much water because I've just made these flowers on some plain white cardstock. And if you get too much water, it will start to pill. You'll get little balls of paper on your image. If you like to watercolor with a lot of water on your brush, you would be better off to stamp it on some watercolor paper. That one's just a bit lighter. There we go. How was everyone's weekend? We had a quiet Saturday, and then, which was nice. It's nice to have a quiet weekend every now and then. And then Sunday night we went out for dinner last night. And our weather has been better. It hasn't been as snowy. It's still pretty cold here though. I had to go to Petrolia this morning and pick Addison up. And I saw it was still minus 13 this morning. Like it's still very cold out. Everything was all frosty and white, like the trees all had the white frost on them. It was very pretty out this morning. But cold. Okay, so once you kind of get your petals all filled in, then I'm going to wipe just the extra water from my brush. And I'm going to go into kind of a darker spot here where there hasn't been water mixed in with it. I'm going to start the center and flick out. And it's just going to add some darker shading and lines to my petals. Make them look maybe a little bit more realistic so they're just not all one color. But for this, you don't want a lot of extra water on your brush. And that will allow your color to stay a bit darker. If you press nice and light, it'll make your lines nice and thin because you're just using the tip of your brush. And I'm actually just going to go up here onto my ink pad so that it gets a little bit darker even. And there, I got that one really dark. So I'm just going to go back and kind of make the other petals look similar. I might just add a little bit more to these ones, make them a bit darker too. You just want to try to make sure that it's just not too wet. You can add layer of color as long as it's not too wet. And every layer will add a little bit more detail to your flower. There we go. Okay. Then I'm going to take a little bit darker and I'm going to do these little spots where the petal has folded over. I was going to sneeze. And just pressing very, very light, and that's how you can get into those tiny little spots. You're just using the very tip of your brush. There we go. Okay, so we need a little bit of the paint on here, on these flowers. Won't be adding as much detail to these, obviously, because they're so small. And I have stamped these in the Pretty Peacock. And that's another reason you don't want to use too much water, because our ink pads are water-based. So if I added a lot of water to my petals, that Pretty Peacock outline can start to run. So it is nice to use the black Memento ink when you're using a lot of watercolor or a lot of water in your coloring. Okay, so I've just cleaned my brush off. I'm gonna close that one up. I'm done with that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this petal paint just to the center of my flowers. And then I'm going to clean that. We're done with that one. And then we're going to add some of our pretty peacock to our leaves. So I've added a bit of water to my ink pad. Adding a bit more color there to darken that up a bit. Almost done this one. There we go. And we could do the same, go back in with a little more color, add some, a little more detail, a little shading. The nice thing about watercoloring is it doesn't have to be perfect, because watercolor isn't perfect. You can add some little, or leave some little white space like I did with this leaf here at the top, just to add a little variation. Now we're going to do these leaves. And just once it starts to lose some of its color, you can just go back in and grab some more. A few more leaves here. So I did post today some details about my Paper Pumpkin Creatives tutorial. It is available now. So you can purchase it for $15 US. Or if you want to get February's for free, you can subscribe through either myself or one of the other girls on the team. And then you would get February's tutorial for free. There we go. But yeah, the details are on my page. I posted those this morning. All right, so I'm gonna bring my card back in. And I've die cut, I went ahead and did this ahead. I die cut a bunch of this stuff. This one here and this one here. I die cut a bunch of these little pieces, some of these little sprigs, some of these flowers, some of these sprigs as well. And I did some in the Pretty Peacock DSP. the same as I've used for here. And then some I did in some foil paper. And this is a retired foil paper, but it is called Flower Garden Foils. And it had Cloud Cover, Pretty in Pink, and Strawberry Slush. So as I said, it is retired, but we have some foil paper available, and we have some new foil papers coming out in March as well. So I'm gonna layer that like that, I think. So I'll just use a glue dot for this one, because it's gonna be covered over anyway. And I just want it up a bit. So we're gonna go about there. And then I'm gonna put a little dimensional at the top. And I'll just use a glue dot at the bottom. And the same with this, I'll use a little glue dot for this one. This one I want a bit lower. I don't want it to be exactly the same as the other side, so I'm gonna bring it down a little ways. And then I'm going to add in my flowers. I'll add a little, I wait on that because I have some other things I want to tuck in. Let's see, let's do that one kind of like that. That one I will use a dimensional for in the middle there. And then we have one more here to add. That didn't stick. I'm gonna put one more on there. There we go. That'll hold it in place. So these I'm just gonna tuck in here. And I've used our adhesive sheets on these little pieces because I knew they would be hard to attach. I might just shorten that up a little bit. And I've got this one here. I can't see where the end of my, there it is, my adhesive sheet went. And same with this one, I'm just gonna shorten it up a bit. And then I did a bunch of these little pieces just to tuck in here and there. I wasn't sure how many of these I would need, so I just did a bunch of them. I like those little foil accent pieces. Got one more, I might as well add it in there somewhere. Oh, come on. Doesn't want to come off. There we go. Add that one up there maybe. And then I've got two of the little flowers. This was in the die as well. So I felt like it needed some of that strawberry slush up at the top of the layout as well, just to kind of bring your eye up. These little tiny pieces, whew, make me struggle. There we go. That maybe needs to be over just a little bit so it doesn't cover up our greeting in the center there. There we go. So I've grabbed some Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots. These are retired, but it's all I had in Petal Pink. So I'm gonna add a few of these to the center. Oh, that one looks a little big for that. Use a smaller one, that looks better. There we go. All right, let me clean up a little bit of this mess I made. There's our card for today. Hopefully I'm kind of covering up the glare on my mat. Alrighty. So that's what I have for you for today, and that is using our Delicate Whispers bundle, which will be available the beginning of next month. So we'll be back on Wednesday with, I haven't decided yet, some sort of layout. So I hope you have a great week, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.